The regular season is over. The draft order is set, and it's time for a mock draft today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Krabs from Locked On Dolphins, and we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to issue a big thank you, shout out, and welcome to our everydayers. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Terms and conditions apply.
Joe, happy Victory Monday to those of you who are celebrating. That includes teams making the playoffs. That includes teams that won games to end their regular seasons over the weekend. And that also includes the Tennessee Titans fans as they finish in the pole position for the 2025 NFL Draft, collecting the first overall pick. And we're celebrating here by returning to our roots here on the show. We have the top 10 order: Tennessee, Cleveland, New York Giants, New England Patriots, Jacksonville Jaguars, Las Vegas Raiders, New York Jets, Carolina Panthers, New Orleans Saints, Chicago Bears. And we are collectively going to be making picks for all 10 of those teams here today on the show. We were going to do some topical stuff, but nobody really made any changes. So it's like, we don't have too much to talk about. So mock draft it is here on a Monday.
Well, and I guess the changes that have come through, Patriots firing Gerard Mayo, the Jaguars firing Doug Peterson. Well, they're picking 4 and 5, so we'll add some commentary on those decisions as we make the picks, Kyle Krabs.
So, you want to dive in?
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, dun.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Tennessee Titans, you were on the clock.
Have they ever had the number one pick? Wait, I know that's a terrible question. Is this? Yeah.
Are you
remember it?
Are you
Javon Kearse? I don't know. Well, heck,
no, Javon Kearse was not the number one overall pick. Do you want to filibuster right now, or should I filibuster right now?
Why don't you look it up and I'll filibuster?
Okay, great.
As we set the scene here, the Tennessee Titans picking number 1 overall, Brian Callahan, the head coach, presumably safe, ready to get going on a second season here, an aggressive offseason in 2024, leading up to 2024, adding a lot of veteran talent. And here they are picking number 1 overall.
The last time this franchise had the number 1 overall pick was in 1978 as the Houston Oilers, in which they picked Earl Campbell with the number 1 overall pick.
I tell you what.
That's tough to follow.
Yeah.
We're going to try, though.
All right, so we got to get a quarterback, right, Kyle Krabs?
Yeah, that's the bad news, right? Is you did the whole thing where you invested in a bunch of skill players and drafted offensive line, and it brought in Brian Callahan with the system and put a bunch around Will Levis, and you won 3 games and got the number 1 overall pick. So with that in mind, you're probably not going to run it back with Will Levis. The question is, do you like one of these quarterbacks to fit your system? And I think that they'll obviously make a free agency decision first, but the nice thing is they don't have to worry about trying to get creative to get into a spot to draft one of these guys. If they really like him, they get their choice.
Yeah, it's huge, right? Stick and pick your quarterback.
Yeah.
Especially at number 1. We've seen how that can go for teams. It comes down to who's the better fit. Cam Ward out of Miami, Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado. I would think Sanders is a cleaner fit to that style of offense, West Coast drop back style, timing, rhythm based. I think that's kind of where Shedeur wins, is where Cam Ward probably gives you a lot more of a ceiling off script with his physical upside that I think is superior to Shedeur. And of course, there's always the layer of whether or not the Sanders will go to Tennessee, but it seems like a great place, man. They got a heck of a stadium coming through. I think that division's wide open. I think you can go there and be competitive. It's just a matter of who they're going to pick if they want one of these quarterbacks. You could see the Tennessee Titans being a team, though, that explores the veteran market, right? You don't love these quarterbacks. There's going to be some veterans on the move, and maybe you invest later in the draft. There's so many possibilities for Tennessee.
Yeah, so I agree just stylistically, like what we anticipate based off of Brian Callahan to be the identifying qualities of a quarterback that would have success in the offense. I do think Shedeur is the most appropriate between him and Cam Ward. For me, those are the only two that would be remotely in the conversation in the top 10 of this year's class. I know he did a mock draft a couple weeks ago, and put another quarterback in that stratosphere, but that was more so just to reflect a team that was in position to have the number 1 overall pick and then won a couple games and say, here's the ramifications of what that looks like for you now. So I'm good with putting Shedeur, whose strengths are vision, rhythm, good ball placement, into an offense that's a lot of what helped Joe Burrow tick and go as well as he has once he established chemistry with his receivers in Cincinnati.
All right, Shedeur Sanders, quarterback Colorado, to the Titans. Number 2 is the Cleveland Browns. And they did some things with Deshaun Watson's deal lately that kind of keeps him around. But
I think they're just taking the L on it, though. Like, he tore his Achilles. We don't know what that recovery window is going to look like for him. You kind of have a built-in excuse for him to not be around the team next year if he is recovering from the Achilles.
All right. We've seen that before.
And then if you're going to pay him the guaranteed salary for 20, a conversation for another day, right? But they restructured the contract as pretty much to say, we're going to spread out all the guarantee money that we know we're on the hook for you for out across as many years as we possibly can to mitigate the damage to the rest of the team. And because he's coming off an injury, I don't think there's anything that you can assume as far as whether they would be in the market or not. The question is Cam Ward a quarterback that would allow you to preempt the other needs that this roster has when contrasting it with you are paying the money you're paying for a quarterback at the same time for an extended period of time?
I think that's what makes Cam Ward attractive to me if I'm the Browns, is that I'm locked in on an expensive quarterback that I don't want to play. Let's get some – how else can I get an upside quarterback while dealing with Deshaun Watson? It feels like drafting one makes a lot of sense to me. And a lot of that's rooted in that I don't love these quarterbacks as like slam dunks, number 1, number 2 picks, but I also am not that enamored with the rest of the talent where it's like, oh my gosh, I have got to get Nick Bosa right here. You know what I mean? Or I have to get Jamar Chase right here. I think that the rest of this draft class invites, to me, it makes it more attractive to draft Cam Ward, who gives you a ton of physical tools. You're sticking with Stefanski, and I think that's a good move for Cleveland. I'd like to think they can get the rest of the stuff figured out. Yeah, they got rid of, which never made any sense to me that they would bring him in. Like, I thought he was terrible for not only Deshaun Watson, but a really weird blend with Kevin Stefanski. If you wanted to marry some schemes, I didn't really see that ever. Never made sense to me.
I did a mock today for 33rd team and went Travis Hunter, but for the sake of shaking things up, I'm not going to fight you too hard on the idea of adding Cam Ward.
All right, Cam Ward, quarterbacks 1, 2. Pretty good chance that's it.
That's gonna be it.
Which is tough for the New York Giants, who are picking number 3. Sticking with Shane, sticking with Daboll, Kyle Krabs, John Mara. He's given them a 4th season. I think Darius Slayton said last week that would be unwarranted. So I don't think Darius Slayton's going to be around finally, right?
Probably not.
But they don't have a quarterback here, and so here they are. Obviously, like if we thought this was a make or break year for Shane and Daboll, certainly 2025 is.
Yeah, I think this pick comes down to 2 players for me. It's Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. For me, are the 2 picks. And the question is, Hunter can play corner. There's needs all over the roster. Carter, pass rush room, where you have a pretty strong defensive front. I think Hunter probably makes the most sense from a team needs standpoint, but just like values of best players available type thing. And he could play on offense and he can play at corner for this football team if they wanted him to do all of those things in time. So I think this one's pretty cut and dry. You get a guy that can help you on the perimeter on both sides for a team that needs as much of that kind of help as they can get.
All right. Easy choice here. Travis Hunter to the Giants. All right. The Patriots, who squandered away the number 1 pick. We'll get to them here next, folks. Be sure to stick with us. Growing your small business in 2025 comes down to how well you can hire. And let's face it, better hires start with smarter insights. That's where LinkedIn comes in. With the strongest hiring data available, LinkedIn helps you identify the right candidates, giving you the confidence to make the best decisions for your business. I've used LinkedIn Jobs myself, and I can tell you it's a game changer when it comes to hiring the right fit. Small businesses are wearing a lot of hats, so every hire is crucial. LinkedIn gets that. That's why they connect you with the best candidates using data that you won't find anywhere else. From unique skills and interests to the connections you share, LinkedIn helps you find the right person for the job. In fact, 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn has helped them find high quality candidates. And folks, I know from experience how important it is to make the right hiring decisions. Having access to insights like what skills candidates have or how they've connected to your network helps you feel confident when you're going to pull the trigger. Hire smarter this year and find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or were paying for twice? Folks, that happens. Don't let it happen to you. And Rocket Money is the best way for you to track it all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Again, the subscription tracker helps you cancel subscriptions. They give you the goals feature. You can automatically set aside money every single month for your future. There's no more stressing about budgeting. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon.
Wee woo.
I'm unaware of this wee woo. Let's go.
Yeah, not impacting the top 10, but impacting one of the teams that we just picked for because they played this team twice. The Bengals have dismissed Lou Anarumo, defensive coordinator.
Ah, sweet Lou.
Probably appropriate.
Tough scene, though. They took away all his guys.
Yeah.
I don't think he forgot how to coach defense, but that'll be interesting.
And they really turned it on down the stretch. I think they had like 13 turnovers in the last 5 games that they played.
He won't be out of a job long.
Somebody get a really good defensive coordinator, get some more talent with him.
Yeah.
Be good.
Sounds good.
So Lou Anarumo we're reacting to these things as they come through. We obviously aren't doing the show on them, but we can tackle them as we go. So our next team, New England Patriots. Team has a quarterback. Team needs wide receiver.
They got 2 quarterbacks, Kyle Krabs.
Team Joe Milton out there.
Brother.
Slinging the pill.
Thought I was watching Josh Allen play against the Bills. What the hell's going on here?
Dude, that one that was incomplete in the end zone.
Dot.
So let me ask you this. If you're the Patriots and you have that tape as like the last impression, are you shopping him this offseason?
Oh, absolutely. Drake May's a number 3 overall pick. He's your guy.
He's gonna be the guy, right? And like what value does Milton have other than you could probably cash that one out in this quarterback class after he played like that?
Right.
You get a better pick than what you spent on him in the first place, for sure.
Joe Milton just missed open guys all day long at Tennessee. All of a sudden, he's tight window throws, nailing them. Insane. Somebody should get him. The Giants should. Go get him, Giants.
Yeah.
Get Travis Hunter to go and Malik Neighbors to go with Joe Milton. Yeah. Let's see what happens.
Let's do a fireworks show out there in New York.
But what is that? I can't even begin to think of what that package would be like. But
what do you offer? 5?
I don't know, man. Like I think about like I hate to say this, but like the trade that comes to mind for me is when the Bills traded for Rob Johnson. He had like an unbelievable like 30 for 33 game against the Colts in like a meaningless game, like 300 something yards. The Bills gave up a first round pick for him after that one start.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. But like I think probably more than a 5th. It might take like a 4.
Do a day 3 pick, early day 3 pick.
Some conditions or something attached to it. I don't know.
I wouldn't even do the conditions. Dude, he's on a what was he, a 7th round pick?
Yeah, like a 6.
He's gonna be on the books for like $700,000 the next couple of years on a rookie wage scale. That's worth it alone.
Yes. All right, Giants. You know, we just give you your plan at quarterback.
There you go. Go call up the Patriots and trade for Joe Milton. And they need offensive line. They also need pass rush.
Yeah.
I think you could warrant corner as a part of the conversation as well. So, like, you've got Ted McMillan, you got Will Johnson, you got Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
I think the best offensive tackle in the class might be Josh Simmons from Ohio State, but he's coming off an injury. It's probably a little too early for him. But
perfect for the Patriots. Maybe he'll go. Jaguars are definitely taking this guy if he's got an injury. So wait, I think Will Johnson. I think the world of him. I really kind of like Alex Austin and Christian Gonzalez as like the future at corner for the Patriots.
I'm just saying, if you're in love with Will Johnson, I wouldn't let Alex Austin stop me from drafting him. Is all I'm saying.
But that kind of pushes me towards like maybe the pass rusher. If you think there's an offensive lineman worth this pick, Kyle, I think we could easily agree on that. And also, we're not trying to pick for them. There's a predictive element. I mean, Will Campbell feels like a Patriots pick to me. But if you think Josh Simmons is the guy, like, I'm not going to fight you.
How can you say that? You don't even know who that coach is going to be.
It's going to be Mike Vrabel, Kyle Krabs.
I agree. I think that the Patriots got word that Vrabel wants the Patriots job, but had a really nice interview with the New York Jets.
Right.
And all of a sudden, Bob Kraft says, oh, you know what? Maybe.
Man, they've been leveraging coaches against each other for a long time. It's a crazy situation.
Yeah, man. It's like Kevin O'Connell's got a bunch of teams calling about.
Let me tell you what's not going to happen. Right. Kevin O'Connell would like the Minnesota Vikings to extend his contract for, $12 million a year or something.
Yeah, with a lot of guaranteed years on it. I don't know, man. I feel like it's a little early for Ted McMillan, and I feel like it's a little early for the offensive lineman with some of the questions that exist.
Pass rusher?
Abdul Carter.
Okay.
Let's do Abdul Carter there.
Edge rusher, Penn State.
And expect the Patriots to spend on NFL veteran talent on the offensive line and at wide receiver. I think that's where you're at because they're going to have all the dollars to spend. The Jacksonville Jaguars. This is where it gets hard. Trent Baalke's back. So that's good news.
For Trent Baalke.
There's a couple GMs like this. It's like, man, we're Littlefinger. We just keep winning the Game of Thrones.
We talked in the pre-show. We got 5 openings and only 1 GM opening. 5 head coach openings, but only one of them comes with a GM spot, and it's the Jets.
It's the Jets. So Jacksonville, they got types, right? I think that's the nice thing about knowing what Trent Baalke being there is that they got types that they like.
Long arms, baby.
You got size and length. He's gonna be
Michael Williams. You are a Jacksonville Jaguar.
You know, if they didn't do the Josh Hines Allen contract extension, you'd probably be right. Because they do a lot of the same things with him as what Georgia did with Trayvon Walker, too.
All right. So candidates here, Will Johnson feels like a candidate to me. I mean, I guess you can make a case for Michael Williams. I don't feel like these offensive linemen have the length. Josh Simmons, he's not afraid to draft injured guys. They need a left tackle. Oh, no, they like Walker Little. They don't need a left tackle. Yeah. Jaguars fans, calm down. You don't have to yell at me immediately. I know that they would kill me if I said that. And Walker Little and Anton Harrison. So,
and they should just thank the lucky star Shavon Revel didn't play a whole season, or else he'd be a lock.
Either guy. Does this just feel like Will
Johnson?
It's
just best player available is Will Johnson, and he meets their size profile.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And they need another corner opposite Tyson Campbell.
Yeah.
Okay.
In on it.
Raiders. This was a hard one for me, too, for when I did my mock for 30-13. They're a desperate quarterback team.
Can't help you.
Cannot help you. Their wide receiver room's really sorry, but they potentially have needs all over the defensive side of the football. They'll get Christian Wilkins back. What's the deal with Max Crosby? Max Crosby's kind of dropped some breadcrumbs of malcontent.
Send him to Buffalo, I guess,
Yeah. But what do you do? What are we drafting here? Best players available are Ted McMillan, Mason Graham, Josh Simmons, Jalen Walker, Malachi Starks, Will Campbell, Kelvin Banks.
this feels like an opportunity to get a playmaker. Bowers is unbelievable. He needs some help, and obviously they got to figure out the quarterback thing. But I think adding Tet McMillan probably does the most to help their quarterback, whoever that's going to be. You dig?
I've tried not to spoil all the picks that I've made for the 30-13 mock, but that was one I did make, and I had somebody who didn't like it, and they were a Bills fan. I didn't know why they didn't like it.
They didn't like that Tet McMillan went to the Raiders?
They said, ugh, T-Mac to Raiders. Yuck.
Oh, okay.
Like, oh.
Didn't know.
I wonder if he's just a T-Mac fan that didn't want to see his talents wasted, but he's a guy that can win down the field. He can also the guy that can win with the ball in his hands, and if you have a guy like that with Brock Bowers, that's a nice size combo of like guys that can make plays with the ball in their hands.
Okay.
Do you want to jump to break and then do the last four?
Jets, Panthers, Saints, Bears coming up next. Stick with us. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need to place live bets, same-game parlays, and so much more. And FanDuel has so many different ways for you to pick up a win. I love betting on which players are going to hit the over on their stat projections. If a team will cover the spread, I love building parlays. It's thrilling. And not only can you bet on who will win the game, but FanDuel has bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points each team will score, and so much more. They've got the early lines up. You want to get in on the playoff action, the spreads, the over-unders. It's all there, and it's always best to jump on them early if something stands out. So check it out. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
It's the New York Jets at number 7. And the New York Jets won twice yesterday. They won with Aaron Rodgers on the field against the Dolphins. But they also won because, Joe, they by 3/1000ths of a point of strength of schedule managed to stay in front of the Carolina Panthers in the draft order.
Can I give a quote from Jets head coaching candidate Rex Ryan?
Yeah.
This is about whether or not he thinks he's going to get the Jets head coaching job. He said, 100% absolutely I do. And the reason I think I'm going to get it is because I'm the best guy and it ain't close. The thing you have to do, you have to connect with your football team. You have to connect with your fan base. The way they play, that's the most important thing. Not the X's and O's and all that. This Ben Johnson, I love him. I absolutely love him. But I'm a better candidate for this job than he would be.
Now let's go have a GD snack. Here's the thing, though. If Rabel goes to New England, and if Aaron Glenn, who I think is the other like highly favored candidate to go there, if he ends up going to New Orleans,
or Chicago,
I think Schefter reported while we were recording, all three of those teams are planning to request interviews for Aaron Glenn. But if those things happen, they're not planning to file a request to interview Ben Johnson because, in part, he doesn't have interest in the job. Aaron Glenn did play in both New Orleans and New York. Now, he was a better player in New York. He played his end stage age 36 season for a handful of games in New Orleans, but he's been there, part of that organization.
Yeah. This guy wants the job.
Right. Where else would where else do the Jets go?
Sure.
I wouldn't dismiss it. I wouldn't bet on it, but I wouldn't dismiss it.
Yeah, if they get down to the point where it's like, man, we're not getting these guys. Yeah, you got to. I mean, this is an important hire. Like, they got to get some alignment going here. I mean, I obviously don't think very much of Rex Ryan, but at least he wants to be there.
I hope you warm up on Rex.
I can't. I love the analysis that he gives on whatever ESPN, but this guy's a goon as a head coach, man. I've seen it. Absolutely seen some of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. Fully pregnant, riding on a 2-man bicycle with his brother, coming in, painting his car with the Bills wrap, and
was Jets taking it 7. by 3/1000ths of a point stay in front of Carolina, and I think either one of those teams at this point would take Mason Graham-Hughes on the board for him. And the Jets being the first team up, I think they'd pick Mason Graham.
Slam dunk.
They need depth on their defensive front. They need somebody opposite Quinnen Williams. He can eat snaps. He can play all 3 downs. They need that and we'll see, maybe they're a little bit less rotation oriented with whatever the new direction is for the team.
Yeah. Well, if it's Rex, that'll be true. They'll rotate less. So,
I mean, it's hard to rotate more than what Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich did, right? They had 3 starting defensive lines at one point.
Yeah, well, and I think them rotating into this year with the lack of depth that they have.
Yeah.
All right.
So there will be an overcorrection there, you feel like, right?
Probably. Yeah.
The Panthers at 8.
Feels like we got to go. I think we got to go defense here, man. And I think there's some value at defense, in particular, Jalen Walker, the edge rusher from Georgia. I think pairing him with Clowney would be really, really fun. I think that's what they need more than anything is pass rush. To bring back J.C. Horn, Derek Brown will be healthy. I think if you can add to that pass rush, I think that makes the most sense to how to improve this football team. Obviously, some life in that offense down the stretch. Coker looks like he could be an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce Young played really a lot better. They have their running backs kind of figured out. I think they have their tight end and Sanders. Let's go help the defense here with Jalen Walker.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If I said 534, would you know what that represents for Carolina?
Not a clue.
That's the number of points they allowed this season.
That's a lot. Yeah, geez, that's a lot.
The most and I know we have 17 games. It's the most allowed by a single point by any team in NFL history in a single season. Is Carolina Panthers 2024 defense.
We need some defense.
All right, Jalen Walker.
Done.
New Orleans, 5-12, picking 9. Them in Chicago, our last 2. This is a team you could tell me they could go in any number of different directions, and I would not be surprised. I would expect it to be a foundational position, whether that's a pass rusher with Chase Young coming off the books. We might be at the end with Cameron Jordan, whether that's offensive tackle. I know that's kind of been an ongoing experience for them. It wasn't as bad with Trevor Penning this year as it was in years past, and they just invested in Talise Fuaga. A cornerback, they traded Marshawn Lattimore. Those are kind of the positions that start coming to mind for me when I think about where New Orleans can go. I think there's probably best available talent at offensive tackle, but you do the contrasting that versus who they have. I think it opens the door for maybe pass rusher to be the way that they go here.
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm thinking, Kyle. I mean, Jordan's old. Chase Young is a 1-year contract guy. I don't think they'll be able to bring back anybody. It feels like their opportunity to get younger and cheaper would be best concentrated with some pass rush here.
So it's either James Pierce or Michael Williams for me.
Well, I think their prototype tells us that Michael Williams is more, right?
Guy.
Like, yeah.
I did his eval over the weekend. For being 265, and he's got some easy power. Like when he's engaged with guys and how he collapses you. And that with the length is very much picks up with what, we'll see what kind of scheme they ultimately go with. But Mickey Loomis being there, you kind of get an idea of what he has looked for and draft for in the past. And Michael Williams fits that bill, which leaves the Chicago Bears team picking 10, a 5-12 team picking number 10. At least some of these teams won, right? The Saints, Panthers, and Jets, they all could have been 4-win teams, and Chicago.
Yeah, we could have.
These teams could have been 4-win football teams. Some of these teams.
We could have, yeah.
And the Saints lost to Tampa, but
right, they're competitive in the game though.
Mm-hmm.
So the Bears,
offensive tackle.
You like any of these? Who makes the most sense for them? They just have to, right? Like ceremoniously, They have to pick an offensive lineman.
So I think the player that gives you the most wiggle room is probably Will Campbell, because they have Tevin Jenkins is an expiring contract,
right? They
have a vacancy at left tackle. The spot has not been good enough. Josh Simmons is the best pass protector of this group.
He's got an ACL. When did he tear it?
October. Expected to be ready for the start of the season.
Yeah, but that's such a disservice to a rookie. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, to be put in a big spot like that, and
we gave up 700 sacks this past year. We know you haven't had a normal offseason. Welcome to the NFL. We're glad you're here. Go be our left tackle. I don't think they can do it.
Some people think Banks can play inside a guard too.
Is this
he doesn't have the best length.
Well, I think that's the issue with Campbell too, right?
They're both probably better at guard. I think who can you feel better about at tackle, or who do you feel has the higher ceiling regardless of where you ask him to play, because they'll have an opportunity to play in either spot. So
what the Bears should do is just draft Josh Connerly from Oregon and move on with their life. But see, I don't know. To me, he might be my favorite tackle I've watched, but it does. I don't know if that.
Hold on, let me check my grades.
Does that add up? Like,
it's a little off the beaten path of like the consensus, but I don't know that you're necessarily wrong as far as. I just don't know off the top of my head where the tackles rank. Okay, so I have Josh Simmons 1, and then I have Josh Connerly as my OT 2, and I have him as top 12 prospect in class. You do Josh Connerly?
Yeah, man. Let's have a little brand pick here.
Yeah, this would be a brand pick. So Connerly, if you're not familiar with, watch the Big Ten championship tape. I have not had a chance to watch the college football playoff matchup, the rematch with Ohio State, and obviously Ohio State smoked them. But Connerly played awesome against Penn State, and that was kind of the affirmation of like the movement skills are there, the functional strength is there, the ability to mirror in space is there, and obviously going against Abdul Carter and then Dennis Sutton, their other pass rusher. They got 2 NFL pass rushers there, and he played an amazing game, and it was just kind of the resume game for him. So if you're not familiar with Josh Connerly, go check out the Big Ten championship game tape.
The Ashton Genty to to Dallas lives with them qualifying for the number 12 pick, right? We didn't have a spot for Genty in the top 10. I don't think he's going to San Francisco at 11. So
I wouldn't put him at Dallas either. Just check out the mock over the 30-13 that I did.
Oh, he went later. Yeah, I hear that, but like, is something wrong with Genty? Do you think Dallas is in on Rico Dowdle? What are you hinting at here?
No, just that they have more pressing foundational issues as a franchise.
When has that ever affected the decisions that they've made under Jerry Jones?
That's a good.
We have big issues. Who's that Notre Dame linebacker? Jalen Smith. Let's give that guy a bunch of money.
That's to do it for us here on Locked On Scouting. Kyle Krabs, Joe Marino. We appreciate you guys as always for checking out the show. We will be reacting this week to all of the news that we get as far as personnel changes across the league. We hope you will come back and see us again soon. Kyle Krabs, Joe Marino. We're out of here.